The Indiana Fever just lost a pretty tough game against the Valkyries, and my main thought after the game is that the Valkyries wanted it more. The Fever didn't want this game. They did not want it at least as much as the Valkyries. The Valkyries came with energy and effort throughout the entire game, and even though they were down up to 13 and even more at one point in this game, they consistently fought back, and in that third to fourth quarter stretch, what we're going to look over in this video, they just played faster than the Fever. The Fever were walking the ball up slow. They were playing sloppy defense. They just weren't contesting. They did not want to win. Now, Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell also had very bad games. I mean, they combined for a whopping 1 for 12 from the three-point line in this game. Caitlin Clark was 3 for 14. She had a lot of turnovers. She did not look good in this game. If Caitlin Clark is not playing well and Kelsey Mitchell is also not playing well for this Fever team, you're not going to be able to win. Now, Aaliyah Boston could have cruised you to a victory if it wasn't for the fact that the Valkyries had amazing defense in the second half of this game. If you watched the first half, you saw the paint being wide open for the Fever. You saw Natasha Howard, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, even Caitlin Clark as well, getting down low into the paint and getting easy layups in this game. And then in the second half, you saw exceptional interior defense from the Valkyries, and they totally fixed the interior defense problem that we saw in the first half. So as bad as a loss as this is for the Fever, I think it's more of a Valkyries win, because even though the Fever had the game in their hands, the Valkyries took it from them. The Chase Center was jumping today. The Valkyries fans are loyal fans, and they came to see their team win, and once they got into a stride, the crowd got into it, they got the momentum, and they were able to win this game. I could talk about it all day though, but we're going to start at the end of the third quarter and go on into the end of the fourth quarter and see how the Indiana Fever gave up this loss, so you can get a deeper look into it if you didn't get a chance to see the game. Now, I'm not going to show any of the plays from the first half, but if you watch the game, you know that the Indiana Fever, they won because of their interior points. They were getting a lot of great looks around the rim, whether it was Natasha Howard, especially Aaliyah Boston. You saw Kelsey Mitchell getting down there. They had a lot of easy layups. In this second half, you see the Valkyries make an adjustment. You see Natasha Howard on the low post here, and she's not able to get a good look. She's not even able to get around the rim here because you have amazing defense from the Valkyries. This is an adjustment. Like, after halftime, they came out and they said, you know what, the Fever are winning because they're getting a lot of shots in the paint. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop allowing them to get easy shots. When they make those easy passes, we're going to pick them off, and we're going to give the Indiana Fever a totally different style of defense than we gave them in the first half. That's what the Valkyries did, and it worked. The Fever were not able to react to this. They were not able to adjust. They looked like the same Fever from the first half, and this is how they lost. And on the other end, you've seen Natasha Howard just getting blown by at the top of the key. Look, the Valkyrie players are getting down low, drawing fouls here, getting easy layups. They realize that the Indiana Fever interior defense is trash. It's been trash all year. We've talked about it all year. Look, the Valkyries realized that their interior defense was trash in the first half, so they adjusted and they made it better. And then they also realized that one of the Indiana Fever's biggest weaknesses, if not their biggest weakness, is their interior defense. So they started attacking it. That is how you win a game. And I want you to look at this next play. Off a pick and roll, Caitlin Clark finds Natasha Howard cutting to the basket, and you see them swarming her in the paint. Earlier in the game, this same type of play happened, and Natasha Howard got an easy layup. Now they are swarming the paint, and they're like, you know what, we're going to patch up the paint. We're going to make you beat us from the three-point line. And the problem with the Fever is that they're not able to get good passes off the short rolls because of the Valkyries' defense and how they're poking into those holes. There's not just wide open players that you can make easy passes to when you get the ball down there if you're a big man. It's just turnover after turnover, missed shot, and then the Valkyries are getting the ball in transition and pushing the pace. And I want you to look at this next play because it shifts the momentum for the Indiana Fever. I want you to notice how Caitlin Clark has Natasha Howard on that low post, but she decides not to give the ball to Natasha Howard, and she decides to give the ball to the corner. This might be because you have seen the Valkyries starting to swarm the paint, and so Caitlin Clark is like, you know what, let's not go there. Let's go to something else. And they read that too. The Valkyries saw this pass coming too. They got that steal. And look, on the other end, Kate Martin gets a three, a deep three that gets the crowd going. They're getting hyped. And look, the Indiana Fever are on a downhill slope from here on because now the Valkyries have the momentum, and the whole game after this is, can the Indiana Fever respond? And spoiler alert, they're not able to respond, which is why they lost this game. And this is just adding to the momentum. Kate Martin hitting this shot over Caitlin Clark. That's a clean move from Kate Martin, hitting that mid-range shot, fade away. This is what gets the crowd going. This is what gives this team confidence. You had a big lead early. Now the Valkyries have all the confidence in the world. And this is a team that are not scrubs. This is not a team that's trash. This is a team that's competed with the best of the best in the league. They're 6-6 now. The Fever are 6-6. They have the same record. The Valkyries are a team that are here. They're serious. There's a reason you got 17,000 people pulling up to their games. There's no Caitlin Clark in attendance. That's just Chase Center. That's just Steph Curry fans pulling up to support this team. Look, San Francisco has good basketball fans. They're going to come and support, and the bigger your crowd is, the more life your team will have. You allow this team to get into a groove with the crowd energizing them, it's going to be very hard to beat them. And look at this right here. You got a Valkyries player just going one-on-one against Sophie Cunningham, hitting this shot in the corner, bro. That's just a tough shot. Now this team has confidence. This is a team that in the first half was missing a lot of threes. We were talking about it in the live stream. This Valkyries team was missing a lot of three-point shots, and I was told this team is not a good three-point shooting team. But as you can see at the end of the third quarter into this fourth quarter, they've gotten into a total groove. Now they're hitting threes. They're raining threes like Steph Curry and the Warriors, and it's not looking good for the Indiana Fever. Now I want y'all to look at this next play. This is incompetence on the defensive side of the basketball. Look at Aaliyah Boston down there, allowing this player to get right by her and get a layup. She doesn't even contest. This is horrible defense from the Indiana Fever. They're not trying to look sluggish out there. Their defense was trash. You know, there were some big-time shots that the Valkyries made that the Indiana Fever really couldn't do anything with, like the turnaround Kate Martin shot or the deep three, or like even the last shot we saw in the corner. But, man, this is just bad defense. They're not going to hit crazy shots all the time. But when you give them wide-open layups, you're just giving them more juice. You're just giving them more energy to go out there and kill you. And I want you to look at this next play. Caitlin Clark is going to her left. She's trying to get a three-point jump shot, and she travels. She misses the shot. She was missing all game. She was 0 for 7 from the three-point line. Caitlin Clark was just not a factor in this game offensively. She had some great assists. She got some rebounds. But when it came to scoring the basketball, she was not there. And you need her to show up if this team is going to win. She is arguably the best player in the WNBA right now. If she's having a bad game, this team's not going to win. She has to step up. And on an off night, you would think that sometimes the Indiana Fever could lift her up. But Kelsey Mitchell has not been a factor in these past few games. She has been getting some shots around the rim. Like she ended up, I think, like 6 for 11 from the field today because she got some easy layups around the rim. But when it comes to creating her own shot, hitting mid-range jump shots, hitting three-point jump shots, she is a non-factor. And she's been getting a lot of shots off the catch. Kelsey Mitchell is at her best, in my opinion, when she's shooting it off the catch. We saw that last year. But it seems like she's totally regressed since last year. And so Caitlin Clark didn't show up in this game. Kelsey Mitchell has not been showing up in these games. Aaliyah Boston, they adjusted on her and it didn't allow her to get too many layups. And she got into foul trouble later on in this game. So the Indiana Fever are just not able to win if your big three is not going to show up. I want y'all to look at what happens on this next play. Caitlin Clark tries to get it down low into the paint. She's trying to create something, and they're packing the paint. This defense is totally a 180 from what you saw in the first half. If you didn't get a chance to watch this game, go look at the highlights. Go see how the Indiana Fever were scoring all their points early on. It was all in the paint. Aaliyah Boston was getting wide open layups. Kelsey Mitchell too. Now you see the Valkyries have made that adjustment. There's no easy points coming from inside the arc, and that's how the Valkyries once again were able to get the win. And off this play, I want you to look at what happens on the other side. The Valkyries throw a full court pass and get a wide open layup on the other end. This is incompetence at the highest level from the Indiana Fever because you're not getting any good offense. You haven't made an adjustment yet. Fever don't adjust. And then on the other side, you're playing horrible defense. You're not getting back. You're allowing them to beat you on the other end and get easy layups. This is horrible from the Indiana Fever. They did not want this win, man. And now the Valkyries are just in a groove. You didn't give this player that much space, but she hits the three-point jump shot because they're in a groove, because they have the momentum, because the crowd is into it, because they have seen themselves go up and they're just trying to up the lead. Now they have a 4-point lead. This is the Indiana Fever losing the game. They don't have the momentum and they're not playing with enough effort to try to get it back. They're not playing fast. They're walking the ball up slow. This is how you lose. The Valkyries wanted to win. The Indiana Fever didn't want it as much. And this right here was one of the biggest problems. Off of free throw, you don't get the defensive rebound. The Indiana Fever had such a big problem rebounding in this game. The rebounds were horrible from the Indiana Fever, and you see them getting a wide open three because of this. They get a three-point jump shot because you were not able to corral the rebound that was yours. All you had to do was get this rebound, bring it the other way. There's 5 minutes left, and you got a chance to cut it to 1 or 2 because it's only a 4-point game. And now you're going to be down 7 because you couldn't get that rebound and you give up a 3. That is one of the worst case scenarios in this situation, but it continuously happened for the Fever because they couldn't get any rebounds. And look at this right here. I was wondering if Caitlin Clark was going to start shooting the basketball in the fourth quarter, and she did. She tried to take over. She shot this shot right here, and she bricks it. She's not hitting any threes in this game. They're all like in and out, rolling around the rim. She's just not hitting them in this game. It was not her night, and she's got to be better. I mean, if they want to win games, obviously she knows she has to show up, and players are allowed to have bad games, so I'm not here to like bash CC and be like she sucks now because she had a bad showing. No, that's not true, but she has to be better. If they want to win, she has to show up kind of like Halliburton. When the Pacers win games, that's when Halliburton is cooking. But you know what? I'm still happy tonight because my Pacers got the win. So, you know, even though the Indiana Fever didn't win this game, I'm super happy about the Pacers, but that's an entire different video, an entire different topic, so we're going to focus on the Fever for now. But once again, them Pacers, man, Pacers in 7. I can't wait for Sunday. And this right here is sad for the Fever. Three-point shooter is wide open, breaks a shot, gets her own rebound, and then gets an and one because of it. You allow her to miss a three, get her own rebound, and then get an and one. If that's not effort, if that's not wanting to win versus the Indiana Fever team who seems like they don't care out there, I don't know what it is. That's exactly what I'm seeing right here. I'm seeing one team who wants every loose ball, one team who wants every rebound, who's playing with effort, and one team who's not even trying to get the ball, one team who's not even trying to win the game, one team who's just kind of giving up. And then a couple plays later, you see them get this shot in the corner. That's going to push the lead to 11. That's where I'm going to end off the breakdown even, because this is the game. Like, there's 2 minutes, 30 seconds left. The Fever are not able to get a victory after this. After all of this, all this demoralizing play you've had, you've allowed this team to grow so much confidence. You've allowed the Valkyries crowd to get into it. There's no way you're going to win this. There's no way you're going to be able to fight back. You have to put a team like the Valkyries away when you have a lead. If you have a 13-point lead against this team, then you have to go ahead and put a fork in it. If you allow them to linger around, a team like the Valkyries is going to be able to make use of that and win a game. This is not Connecticut Sun. This is not one of the trash teams in the league. The Valkyries are a good team. They've competed with the best of the best, and when you're playing a good team, you have to go ahead and kill them, because if you allow them to linger around, especially with a team that plays really fast, they play with a lot of effort, they play with defensive intensity, yeah, they'll be able to get back into it. But yeah, that's where I'm going to end off the breakdown. This was a tough loss for the Fever, but once again, it's just one game. Caitlin Clark had a bad night. Kelsey Mitchell had a bad night. Aaliyah Boston had a bad night, and you still competed. You didn't lose by 20. You competed in this game. Even though it was bad, you had the opportunity to win, even while your players had bad nights. There's things you can look at, though, like your interior defense. Work on that. Work on the rebounding. Work on adjusting and trying to give the defense different things to look at. Like, they continuously went down to the paint in this game, the Indiana Fever did, and the Valkyries knew that, and they made an adjustment. They packed the paint with defense, but the Fever never adjusted away from pushing it into the paint. They never adjusted away from feeding it down to the big man, which is why they lost. So you got to start adjusting. There's things you can look at in this game, but there's also not too much to worry about, because once again, you didn't lose by that much. And if Caitlin Clark would have scored 20, 25 in this game, then you probably would have won. You know what I mean? And she's going to have better games. It's just one game. But once again, you can't rely on Caitlin Clark entirely to win games. If she has a bad game, you should still be able to win. And that's going to fall on Kelsey Mitchell. That's going to fall on Aaliyah Boston. That's going to fall on these other players. And it's going to fall on defensive intensity. You cannot win a game against a team that wants to win more than you. If they want it more, they'll get it. The Indiana Fever gave this one up, and the Valkyries came and took it. But yeah, that's where I'm going to end off the breakdown. Hope you guys enjoyed. Shout out to everybody who was in the live stream, man. That was very cool. Everybody there who donated. It was just very fun. It was great. Just, watching the game with you guys was cool. Giving all my thoughts out, because this is a shorter video than like a 2-3 hour live stream. So I really do appreciate everybody who tunes into the live streams. I don't think I'll be live on Sunday, because I think I'll be at church. So we'll see how that goes, or if I'll be home on time for the Aces game, and if I'll go live for that, we will see. I might go live for the NBA Finals game if I'm not live for the Fever game, but obviously I'll get a video out for you guys. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I certainly did, man. Peace out.